Yeah, it's no secret that avionics upgrades can be stressful, and one of the reasons for that is dealing with the learning curve that tags along with new gear. But what a lot of buyers don't realize is that Garmin has been offering avionics training for a number of years now, and because of the pandemic, you can't jump in a live classroom setting. So Garmin has moved its avionics training to a virtual setting, and I recently took the Garmin GTN series course. And as you might expect, it was like drinking from a fire hose. But if you stick with it, I think you could walk away with a fair amount of knowledge. Let's take a closer look. So I'm here with Matt Clark. He's an instructor with Garmin's Aviation Training Division, and I'm fresh out of Garmin pilot training. And Matt, in the avionics world, a lot of buyers tend to struggle with the learning curve as they put new avionics in the airplane. I like to joke with a lot of my pilot friends who sort of get bent out of shape about learning new stuff. I tell them stop complaining and start training. And the truth is that Garmin has been offering avionics training for a while now. And a couple of years back, I actually went out to Olathe's training center and did a couple of pilot training courses. Also did a maintenance course on the G1000. Here we are in a pandemic, at least the tail end of it, where we can't exactly meet in a classroom setting as we used to. So now Garmin has made the switch to some virtual training, which we'll get to. But why don't you take it from the top and sort of describe some of the training courses that Garmin offers, not just the instructor-led courses, but also courses that owners and pilots can take by themselves.
We do have a wide range of courses that are available to us. We've had our GTN e-learning course for a little while, but it's a course we've continued to update as time's gone on. Last year we expanded that out. In the years past we've had GTN, we've had TXI e-learning courses. We've kind of flushed out the remainder of our courses with our G1000 kind of fundamentals, as well as our essentials course for both G1000 and G1000H. We've also gone fairly heavy into our webinar series. We have a new monthly webinar series we've been kicking off, focusing on a different set of avionics every month, trying to come back from a pilot's point of view of how we can operate the system and get the most out of it there. So there's some paid options, there's some free options that are out there, in conjunction with some of the other live virtual classes that you mentioned earlier.
So let's switch over to the virtual instructor-led course, which is one that I took. Now, flashback a few years, I said I went out to your training center and spent a better part of almost 3 days doing at the time, the GTN navigators had just come out. So now the course I just took was GTN, which is a little bit different than it was a couple of years ago because the GTN navigators have evolved, and we've also got new primary flight displays. The G500, 600 has evolved into the 500, 600 TXI series. But we also have other retrofit displays. We've got the GI275, we've got G5s, and of course we've got the G3X Touch. So what might a student expect to get out of a virtual training course? A lot of information packed into a full day. A go-to meeting?
I guess our go-to meeting. There is a lot that we can get out of this course itself. When you sign up for one of our virtual courses, the first thing we do is provide and actually give a code to one of our e-learning courses. That way you can run through, try to get pretty good base off the e-learning course prior to coming to class, or whether you're virtual or you're in person. And then from there, we can start focusing in, starting hitting the big topics through such as flight planning, vertical navigation, approach work. And really the advantage of a virtual training session is we encourage you to use our PC trainers, and we're going to run through flight scenarios of how we're going to interact, how we can handle an ATC reroute, how we start building some of that muscle memory for how we want to set up the panel and loading those procedures so that when we get to the aircraft, it's much, much simpler, much easier for us.
Yeah, and the other thing that I found useful in the course is you're sort of trading experiences or real world experiences with your fellow classmates. There's a fellow in my class who is based over on the West Coast. I operate on the East Coast. It's sort of interesting to compare how we operate. He flies a Piper Malibu. I think having some Garmin equipment installed in his airplane. He was taking a course while the airplane was down in the shop.
What's the best way to tackle this course?
Now, best way to come at it, whether you're wanting some experience first, whether you're coming in completely green off of it, um, we get both ends of the spectrum on that one. You know, if you can, it's probably preferable if you can come to training, whether you do an e-learning course or you do the e-learning and you do our virtual course, because that way you can start getting familiar with the aircraft. You're not burning gas while you're doing that, or you're not out in the in a hot or a cold hangar while you're trying to learn it off ground power. You can sit in your home, you can work through a trainer, you can work through these real world scenarios that we're getting from other pilots as well as from our own personal experience, and get a good fundamental base. So when you do get behind the aircraft, behind that panel for the first time, there's less of that guessing of what do I need to do, where do I need to go. You already have some of that knowledge, and then you can start kind of expanding out from there.
It's important to stress that you are an active CFII with a lot of Garmin experience. You know, you started. Did you start over in the support division where you're actually taking phone calls from folks out in the field that actually operate this equipment?
Yeah, as the instructor, I've been flying since I was 9. I've instructed behind G1000, GNS 435, 30, GTN, and including our different displays, TXI, G3X, and what I'm finding, what I'm learning, and the knowledge that I've gained, both working on the phones as well as with the training team, as well as the knowledge that I'm getting flying behind the equipment, to me kind of gets to merge the two together. What I learned from one side influences the other side. And so it makes me, in my opinion, made me a better instructor, both in the classroom as well as in the aircraft, so we can relate the real world. How are we actually going to interact with the system, and not just talking theory for a full day or 2 days or whatever class we have signed up for.
There's no sleeping in this class. I tend to joke that, you know, with a virtual training, you can kind of snooze. Not the case because the students are interacting with the instructor the entire time. There's a lot of hands-on. You're working your simulator. So, what are some areas that a student might expect to concentrate on fairly heavily, at least in the GTN series course?
Absolutely. A couple good, or at least one good solid area is definitely paying attention to the approach section. It's definitely a very stressful, critical phase of flight as we're coming in, especially in the aircraft we're really teaching. A lot of times we're flying single pilot IFR. You've got a lot going on. You're managing the aircraft, you're managing the avionics. And always our big hot topic, you know, when do I activate? When do I load an approach? What's the difference? So that when you do get into the approach, you're halfway down the final approach course, you don't hit the wrong button, you don't activate and reactivate an approach and turn 180 degrees around, when reality you need to, you could almost verify, make sure that we're getting proper sequencing as we work our way through the approach. So that's probably one of the big hot topics we always hit when we start talking GTN is the approach side of things.
The other good thing is when you finish the course, you get some wings credit, FAA wings credit, which is always a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. It's been asked for a number of years, and my colleague wound up getting that all linked back in, so that, yeah, you do get wings credit once you complete one of our courses. You know, just because you take the class, you get to talk to us for, you know, whether it's a day course, a 2-day course, that doesn't mean that's the end of that relationship from there. We always provide our contact information as well. And I have a number of pilots who hit me up on it on a regular basis, where they do run into questions, even though we've talked about things in class. Maybe they missed an item, or they ran into a unique situation, a unique scenario, and they will run those back to us, whether it's via phone, whether it's via email. And, you know, we can work our way, we can talk and discuss our way through the scenario, or worst case scenario, I go to engineering and different teams within Garmin, and I go ask a question that maybe I didn't know. So I get smarter in the process, and at the same point, we're still helping our customers. We're making sure that they're feeling comfortable and competent behind the aircraft, and that we are trying to provide that absolute best support that we possibly can to our customers.
I'm Larry Anglosano with Aviation Consumer with Matt Clark at Garmin. Thanks for watching.